In just a moment, X-1, but first, here's an important date to remember. It's this Sunday when the highly acclaimed program On the Line with Bob Considine premieres on NBC Radio. Behind each news event is a human interest story, and beginning Sunday, you can hear these fascinating sidelights with commentator Bob Considine. You'll also meet the important people who make the headlines, people from the government, labor, and management, or perhaps someone in your own hometown today. The latest news becomes more meaningful when you understand the human interest. So make a day to hear On the Line with Bob Considine. Now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blastoff. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus one.
Tonight, The Old Die Rich by H.L. Gold.
The uniformed cop at the door told me to get lost, but Lou Pape spotted me and told the man to let me in. It was a shabby room, they always are. There was a woman on the bed, an old woman with white hair, thin enough to show the tight-drawn scalp. The medical examiner was going over her as if she were a side of beef that you had to put a federal-grade stamp on.
When are you going to stop taking this ham friend of yours around to these cases, Sergeant, just to gratify his morbid curiosity?
Forget about Weldon, Doc. What did she die of?
Not eating, malnutrition.
Oh, now look, Doc, in the top bureau drawer, she had bank books showing $32,000 from 5 different banks. Now, she had the price of a meal.
Malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. They starve because they're less afraid of death than digging into their savings.
I don't know, Doc. It doesn't feel right to me.
Listen, Weldon, just because you get up on a stage or on some half-baked television show and make believe you're 70 years old doesn't qualify you as an expert on gerontology.
Maybe not, Doc. But I went bald at 25, and I've been playing old men ever since. There's a lot more to it than just shuffling around and talking in a high-cracked voice.
Yeah, there hasn't been an actor since Otis Skinner.
Maybe. But the way I work, I have to get inside the character. I have to decide when he was born, how he got along with his father, where he went to school, what he thinks of women, everything about a character.
There isn't a one of them these days can make themselves heard past the 5th row.
Look, I'm serious. Now, I've tried imagining myself growing weak from hunger. I've tried to think of not even spending a nickel to keep me from dying. I just don't believe it. It isn't right. I don't feel it.
Well, lucky for me, I don't have to feel these things inside of me because I'm a doctor and not an actor. Sergeant, malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. I'll order the wicker basket from Bellevue. So long, Barrymore.
Well, he's right, Mark. We get a couple of these cases every year. Some old bat starving to death with $17,000 in old bills pinned on his union suit. Turns up all the time.
Al, it doesn't feel right.
Well, he knows his business.
But he doesn't know old people. I do. It isn't easy to starve to death. Not when you can buy day-old bread at the bakery or wilted vegetables the grocer's ready to throw out. Anyone who's willing to eat that stuff can stay alive from day to day. Hunger's it's a pretty potent instinct.
Maybe they get too sick to go out after old bread or wilted vegetables.
It takes weeks to die of starvation. Did you ever try starving for weeks, Lou?
No, did you?
Well, the point is somebody would find out, a janitor, a landlord, somebody, and they'd get him to a hospital.
Forget about it, Mark. Can't argue with it. Here there were 5 bank books, $32,000.
Yeah, she took good care of them. They look almost new.
Sure she did. Most important thing in the world, huh?
April 23rd, 1907, $150. The ink's pretty dark. Shouldn't it be faded?
She probably never took it out in the light.
Anyone ever think of testing the ink?
What for? Bank's records always check. These aren't forgeries, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I'd like to get a chemist working on this ink.
Ah, now, Mark. Look, this is strictly against regulations. I got to take these books down to the squad room and sign them in.
Pretty dark ink for 1907.
Well, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess I could hold them over tonight and bring them down to the property clerk in the morning.
Good. I know where I can find a chemist.
Mr. Weldon, there's no doubt of it. The ink sample is typical of inks used 50 years ago. 1907 would be about right.
There, you see, Weldon? I was supposed to go to the Trotters tonight.
But according to the amount of oxidation, it's fresh enough to be only a few months old.
There, I was right.
Well, couldn't that be the result of unusually careful handling, though?
Oh, yes, I suppose it could. An airtight compartment, perhaps, sealed with one of the inert gases or a vacuum. That might account for the lack of normal aging.
Lou, you can't keep inert gases in a top bureau drawer in a fourth-floor walk-up.
Yeah. Well, it's probably some simple explanation.
For fresh ink, half a century old. I've been going out on these cases for about a year. It's my specialty, playing old people, and when I'm not working television or something on Broadway, I go down to the homes for the aged or the parks or just watch. Lou Pape's an old friend of mine, and he put me on these malnutrition cases. But there was more to it than just picking up color and tricks of the trade. There had to be a better reason for it. You can't just starve to death with upwards of $30,000 right at your fingertips. Not without at least buying a bowl of soup. I had a run of television that kept me busy for about a month, and then Lou Pape called me up and asked me to come down to Bellevue.
I'll autopsy if you want it, Sergeant, but I can give you the cause of death right now. Malnutrition due to senile psychosis.
What's up, Lou?
Well, Mark, an old guy was found wandering around down on Hester Street. Suffering from malnutrition, he had $17,000 in cash inside the lining of his jacket.
Is he alive?
No, not now he isn't. Doc's got him in the room there, but he was stumbling around when the cop on the beat picked him up.
Did he say anything?
Well, he talked to the cop. Pretty smart young kid. Seems the old man kept talking about money and about his wife. She must have been dead 20 years. And then, just before he went out completely, he did say something, maybe 3 or 4 times.
Well, what was it?
El Greco.
You mean the artist?
Well, that's what Stankiewicz said. He's the officer who picked him up. Said he remembered he'd heard the name on that television quiz program. You know, the jockey who's the art expert there.
El Greco.
Probably some Greek restaurant where he was bumming his meals. Are you sure you want an autopsy, Sergeant? It's late. I won't get to it till tomorrow.
All right, take your time, Doc.
There's something else, isn't there, Lou?
Well, maybe, Mark. We found the old guy's room, and there was an ad thumbtacked over the sink. Nothing too unusual.
Yeah?
Here it is.
Men and women wanted, light work suitable for old people. No references required.
Well, I checked it with the lieutenant. He says to forget it. He says it figures for an old guy to be interested in an ad like that.
An old guy with $17,000 in cash?
Yeah. Well, I didn't figure I'd argue with the lieutenant.
You mind if I keep it?
No, go ahead.
It was an old brownstone house in the East 80s. I got in line with the rest of the applicants. My face was lined with collodion wrinkles, and I wore an antique shiny suit and run-down shoes. It was a good makeup job. I looked more authentic than the rest of the old-timers who were waiting for the interview. I finally came up to where a woman was asking the questions.
Name?
Kernet. Louis Kernet. Kernet.
Mm-hmm. Address?
Well, I don't exactly have a place. I've been staying with a fella down on 12th Street, a friend of mine. I met him in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm. Previous occupation?
Well, I worked at a lot of things. Used to be a printer way back. I could hand set...
Do you have any references?
Well...
Family?
No, ma'am. I haven't got any family. I had a cousin in Salt Lake City, but I haven't seen him in 30 years or more. The ad said you didn't need no references.
Well, that's right. Now, will you wait in the other room?
Yes, ma'am. Do I get the job, ma'am?
Just wait in the other room.
I shuffled into the other room and sat down to wait. I concentrated on building a character for Louis Kernet. If I was going to carry this through, I was going to have to play a better performance than I'd ever given before. About half an hour, a young woman came into the room. I'd planned to be dozing the way an old man would, and so my eyes were closed when I heard the door close. When I opened them, I was looking into the barrel of a .38 revolver.
Are you awake now, Mr. Weldon?
Huh? Ma'am?
I don't think
what?
you need to carry on anymore. If you need any further convincing, you are Mark Weldon. You're about 40 years old, and you played this same character on television about 6 weeks ago. You played it fairly well.
Thank you. Would you mind putting down that gun?
Yes. Why did you apply for this position, Mr. Weldon? You're not old. Not really.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was a bet. I was having an argument about the method with an actor who trained at the Old Vic. I bet him that I could get by off the stage with
Don't bother. You've been very busy recently trying to find out why senile psychotics starve themselves to death.
How did you know that?
Well, I happen to know that you've been present at several police investigations into these cases, and you're a good friend of Sergeant Lou Pape.
Well, you know a great deal more about me than I do about you.
Well, I would be glad to enlighten you. My name is May Roberts. I'm the daughter of the late Dr. Anthony Roberts, the physicist, who was dismissed from the Brookhaven Atomic Energy Laboratory 5 years ago.
I assume you're connected with these starvation cases, or you wouldn't have known I was investigating them.
Well, that's obvious, isn't it? I'm not afraid of professional detectives, Mr. Weldon. They deal only with facts. But I don't like amateurs. They guess too much. They don't stick to reality. Consequently, they're likely to get too close to the truth.
Unfortunately, Miss Roberts, I'm nowhere near the truth. I haven't the slightest idea how you're tied in with those starvation
Well,
deaths.
I intend to show you, Mr. Weldon. I'm happy to announce that you have the job.
Now, look...
Don't move, Mr. Weldon. Oh, incidentally, about 15 minutes ago, I called Sergeant Pape and told him I was your sister just in from Pittsburgh. I wanted to get in touch with you very badly, and Sergeant Pape was very sorry. He wished he could help me, but he didn't have the slightest idea where you were. All right, Mr. Weldon. Right ahead of you, please. Through that door.
She didn't look like the kind of girl who would forget to hold the gun on me as I went down the hall. So that's all I did, just go down the hall. I climbed up to the 4th floor to a large room. There was a maze of electrical equipment bolted down, tubes and wires and dials. In the middle of the room was a wire mesh cage. She kept that gun on me steady as a rock. She began to set readings on the dials and flip switches on the control panel.
It'll take about 5 minutes for the field to build up, Mr. Weldon. Please get in the cathode area.
You mean that wire cage?
Go ahead.
All right.
Now, I wouldn't advise moving now, Mr. Weldon. The wire carries some 10,000 volts.
Now, look, Miss
Mr.
Roberts...
Weldon, you're curious, and you could turn out to be a great nuisance to me. As long as you come this far, we might as well both benefit by it.
Benefit?
You'll find a suit of clothes on the floor there. Put it on.
But after all...
Put it on.
I didn't know whether she was bluffing about the electric charge. The revolver looked real enough, so I stripped and changed into the other clothes. The shoes were a little too tight and pointed. The collar of the shirt was too stiffly starched and too high under my chin. The suit was too narrow at the shoulders and at the ankles. I remember my father had a suit like that. The same shiny blue serge.
All right. In your pocket, you'll find a set of envelopes. You'll find a set of instructions on each. Follow them carefully.
I don't get it.
You will. Use the envelopes in the order they are arranged.
What's this all about?
Mr. Weldon, I meant it when I said this could be a benefit to both of us. There's no use explaining anything. You'll find out. And don't try to escape. It can't be done. All right. Now the field generators are ready.
Look, Miss Roberts, this is absolutely...
Just follow instructions, Mr. Weldon.
I blinked. I was standing outside a bank on a sunny day in spring. I stared at the people passing by. They were dressed like the characters in a 1930 movie. The women wore long dresses and flower pot hats. The men had hard straw hats, suits with narrow shoulders. The cars were square with flat radiators in the front. There was a trolley car passing by, and suddenly I realized that the last trolley car stopped running in Manhattan years ago. I tried to figure it out. It was New York, all right. I recognized some of the buildings. First, I figured it must have been hypnosis. And then I looked at the first of the envelopes in my pocket. I read it and walked into the bank.
Yes, sir. Our Mr. Golden tells me that you wish to open an account.
Yes, that's right.
Uh-huh. Well, we're very happy to have a new depositor. Very happy indeed. Of course, you realize the institution is in sound condition, very sound. You needn't worry about all those rumors in this bank. No, sir. Solid.
Well, that's good.
All right, now then, name? Mark Weldon. You have no address in the city at present?
No.
And you're depositing $150?
That's right.
All righty. I'll just check the slip here. $150, right. And the date, May 15th, of course, 1931.
31? The Depression.
Oh, now, Mr. Weldon, this is a very good year for business. This temporary recession is bound to abate. Sound banking policies will see us through. It's just around the corner, you know.
What is?
Prosperity. All right, Mr. Weldon, we're very happy to have your account.
I went outside the bank and I stood there in the spring sunlight and let the terror soak into me. The possibility of the entire situation was gnawing at the edges of my mind. And then suddenly I wasn't there. It was as fast as blinking. I was outside another bank in the same city. The date on the next envelope was May 29th, and it was still 1931. I made a $75 deposit there, and then $100 at another place a few days later, spending a few minutes each time and going ahead anywhere from a couple of days to almost a month. In 1934, I found myself inside a broker's office.
Very well, Mr. Weldon. As I understand it, you are buying this stock for a Dr. Anthony Roberts.
That's right.
I assume the stock will be in his name?
That's right. I'm just acting as agent. I follow instructions.
Of course. Well, are you sure I can't convince you that you're making a big mistake?
No, these are my instructions.
Well, now, Mr. Weldon, we are a reputable brokerage house, and, well, frankly, I feel quite shaky about putting our clients' money into this kind of security. There's no future in it. It's a rare metal for which there is very little use for industrial purposes, and, however, if your client is adamant.
I have my instructions.
Very well, then. In the name of Dr. Anthony Roberts, 100 shares of Montana uranium. Most unwise.
It went that way about 50-50. I'd deposit money in my own name in various banks at other times. Then I'd buy a stock or make a bet for May Roberts. On June 21st, 1932, I bet Jack Sharkey to take the heavyweight title away from Max Schmeling. There was Singing Wood in 1933 at Belmont Park and Max Baer over Primo Carnera. I went on skipping through the years, touching here and there for a few minutes to an hour at a time. It was in early October 1938, about 5 hours after I'd left May Roberts' house, before I realized what she had me doing. It was making deposits and winning sure bets, just as those senile psychotics had done. The ink on their bank books seemed fresh because it was fresh. It wasn't given a chance to oxidize. At the rate I was going, I'd be back at my own time in a few hours with $15,000 compound interest in cash. But those old people had died of starvation somehow with all that cash in banks. I didn't know how it happened or why. But suddenly it occurred to me that I didn't want to be found dead in my hotel room. So rather than make the deposit in 1938, I grabbed a cab and told the driver to step on it. We got a mile away from the bank, and then the cab suddenly disappeared. I found myself in front of a counter at a lunchroom. The envelope instructed me to make a bet on the World Series. There wasn't any way to get out of the range of the machine. It picked me up at least 5 miles away from where I was supposed to be. Came back a week later to get my winnings. I was hungry, so I got myself a hamburger and went out the door. When I hit the sidewalk, it happened again.
Don't touch the cage yet, Mr. Weldon. I'll have to clear the charge.
Hey, what happened to my hamburger?
What?
The hamburger. I had it here. It's gone. I'm hungry.
I'll get you something to eat, Mr. Weldon, before your next trip. Well, you've done pretty well for yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have. About 15,000. I had ketchup on my sleeve. It's gone.
Mr. Weldon, I want to talk seriously with you. Now you've seen part of what I'm doing.
Part?
My father was discharged from all his research and university connections because he insisted in publishing his findings on the temporal field research. All the conventional physicists explained that it was overwork and recommended everything from hot bouillon before retiring to psychoanalysis. Well, possibly both of these might have been beneficial. But the fact of the matter is that temporal field activities are quite true, and you've seen proof.
Well, I suppose I have.
So it seemed just a question of money, although obviously I can get all I need now.
But sending people back through time to bet on sure things like uranium...
It's a fair exchange. I pay well for service, don't I?
I suppose so.
But that isn't the most important thing. I've been able to save things that would have been lost otherwise. I've sent people back to find precious treasures that would have been destroyed or would have disappeared.
Like an El Greco painting?
Yes. And the original score of Mozart's Magic Flute that would have been burned in 1942, and a Picasso miniature that would have been lost at sea in 52. I have them all here.
Stolen?
No. Bought with money from the year itself at a fair price. Well, Mr. Weldon, I sent you back because I've needed someone to work with me on a regular basis. Someone who's faster and more alert than the old people I've hired till now.
Why old people?
It's a function of the field. You can't send somebody back to a year in which they didn't exist at all.
I'm hungry.
Please, Mr. Weldon, this is very important. My father died trying to prove the validity of his field theory to conventional scientists, and I don't intend to bother. We can become the most powerful people in the world.
I don't feel very powerful now. You haven't got a sandwich hanging around.
I want to make you an offer, Mr. Weldon. I need someone to help me expand the operation, plan the projects and research. I chose you because I was afraid that you might hit on the truth by yourself.
Can I come out of this cage
Be careful.
now?
Don't touch the contacts. The field reacts on a random factor for at least an hour after it's cut off.
I'll be careful. Tell me, Miss Roberts, why haven't you been able to go back to the time that your father was alive and bring him back before he died?
Dead tissue can't be transported. We've tried it with mice and rabbits from a laboratory in 1941, and they just disappear.
Like my hamburger.
Mr. Weldon, I assume that you're interested, and that we can make our plans without using this revolver.
I hope so. $15,000 is a lot of money. Of course, you were able to send those old people back a lot further.
Some of them as far back as 1880.
How long would they be gone? I mean, in subjective time.
Several weeks. Perhaps a month, though more.
There's only one problem, Miss Roberts.
Well, I'm sure we can work out any details.
Well, this one is a little hard to work out. You see, I'm hungry. I haven't been this hungry since I got lost on a hunting trip and went without food for 3 days. You see, you forget I've got an interest in this business because they found some old people dead of malnutrition and $30,000 or so tucked away in their pockets. They had been gone a month or more, and they had to eat during that time, didn't they? When they came back, the food disappeared like my hamburger. It disappeared all at once, all over their body. In one fast jolt, they starved to death.
No, you don't understand. They just couldn't take the field transition. They were too old, some of them, and they lied to me about their age to get the job.
Oh, no, you can't tell me that because I know how hungry I am. And I was only gone about 12 hours. They were murdered.
Get back.
You know, they say a hungry man gets mighty desperate. He'll do almost anything. Let go. Let go. Let go of it.
Oh, my arm.
Look out. Look out. The cage. The contact. She fell into that cage and disappeared before she hit the ground. I didn't know what happened. I know she said the field worked in a random factor, whatever that meant. I called Lou Payton. He came to the house just after the fire started. Something went in the control panel, and it turned out to be a 4-alarm fire before they got it under control. There was nothing left of the machine. There wasn't much left of the brownstone house. Lou didn't believe the story I told him.
You mean there won't be any more of them? No more senile psychotics starving to death with a bankroll in their hip pocket?
No, I told you, Lou.
Come on now, Mark. We get plenty more. We always have.
No, I'll bet you won't. I'll bet you $1 there won't be another case like that.
I'll take that bet.
I lost the bet. There was one more case, and perhaps it was the strangest one. A woman was found wandering in Bryant Park just before she died of acute starvation. One strange thing was she was young, not more than 30. And the other was she had $17,000 stuck in her pocketbook and a bullet wound in her arm the medical examiner said was at least 2 months old. I guess that's what she meant by the random factor.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features This Way to the Regress by Damon Knight, the story of a man named Sullivan who, strangely enough, did not have a great future behind him, but rather a great past ahead. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. In a moment, tonight's cast and a preview of next week's exciting drama. Farmers know they can't stop storms, floods, or droughts from ruining a crop. But they can make sure things like that can't ruin them by investing in United States savings bonds. Not only farmers, but over 40 million Americans in all sorts of jobs own 40 billions of savings bonds. And why? Because savings bonds are the easy way to start saving and to keep saving. And the money you invest in savings bonds mean protection now and ready cash when you need it in the future. Improving the farm, sending the youngsters to college, or planning your own retirement. These are the big things you can be ready for with savings bonds. And besides offering you a safe investment, each Series E savings bond pays you back $4 at maturity for every 3 you invest. Yes, you earn extra dollars while you save, so start saving now. For the big things in your life, be ready with United States savings bonds. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Old Die Rich, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Jim Bowles, Jan Miner, Bill Zuckert, Guy Repp, Wendell Holmes, Ralph Camargo, and Ivor Francis. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Bob Maurer and is an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blastoff. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
tonight's story, Soldier Boy by Michael Shera.
There is a Scandinavian legend. In the Northland deep, in a great cave by an ever-burning fire, the warrior sleeps. For this is the resting time, the time of peace. And so shall it be for 1,000 years. And yet we shall summon him again, my children, when we are sore in need. And out of the north he will come, and again, each time we call, out of the dark and the cold, with the fire in his hands, he will come.
I was off duty when the call came to report. I was off duty and out of uniform. As a matter of fact, I was in a bar, drunk. Bossio had just spilled a beer over me. I cussed him out, and when I looked up, there was a shore patrol standing over me.
Captain Dillon?
Well, where did they find you, Buster? Did you flunk out of high school or get into a fight with your father and run away from home?
Captain Dillon, I have a message for you.
Well, look, Bossio, this is humanity's finest. He has joined the service to protect home and hearth against the savage aliens.
Touching, Dillon, touching.
Are you Lieutenant Bossio? I have a message for you, too.
Have a drink, kid.
No, thank you, sir.
Well, listen to that, sir, Bossio. This kid has got morale.
It's a fact, Dillon. He's crawling with it.
Sure, I haven't heard morale like that since the Second Martian Revolt in 23. Boy, don't you know that the armed service is a scrap heap?
Do not use the best iron to make nails or the best men to make soldiers. Old Chinese proverb.
I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. Ancient folk song.
Please, Captain, Lieutenant, I'm just doing what they told me to. I'm supposed to tell you to report to division headquarters.
Uh-huh. And they told you to try every bar on the strip and you'd be sure to run into us, huh?
Yes, sir. Those were Colonel Swift's orders.
A good commander. He knows the whereabouts of his troops. All right, Bossio, drink up. Let's go. Duty calls. The garrison town was wide open. The street was lined with saloons, gambling houses, and whatever. They cleaned up this sort of thing on Earth and every colony in the solar system and beyond, but they let them stay near the Army bases, mostly because they knew there'd been 500 years of peace, and the men that sifted down into the Army were not quite the best adjusted of human beings. The drinkers, the gamblers, the men who were destructive in 100 different quietly degrading ways wore the uniform of the Defense Command. The uniform that was usually creased and just a little dirty. I know because I'm a veteran of 20 years of it. Not a veteran of any wars nor any fighting except in some saloon on payday, but a survivor of garrison life, of chasing smugglers and rarely catching them. The colonel was fat and sweaty, and as a gesture to military discipline, he chased a frowsy blonde out of the office before he spoke to us.
Sit down, Dillon. Have you ever heard of Lupus 5?
No.
It's out on the rim on a 360 vertical sector. They were wiped out a year ago.
Disease?
Aliens. A mail ship found it. By the time they called the Army in, almost 6 months had gone by. There were 70 colonists. 31 were dead. The rest were missing. All the technical equipment, all radios, guns, machines, even books were gone. The rest of the place was burned over. Only one of the men found something in the ash. As you know, every colony is equipped with a detonator in a main building. And a cobalt bomb buried right in the middle because it's a lot more important to blow a whole village than let some hostile alien learn vital technical facts about human technology and body chemistry.
Well, why didn't the bomb blow at Lupus 5?
Because the wire was cut. At the heart of the camp, under 12 inches of earth, somebody dug it up and cut it.
Who?
I don't know. Dillon, we're pulling back, evacuating the rim colonies. There's nothing else to do.
No defense possible?
After 500 years of peace? Look at you, Dillon. Look at me. And the rest of the Army is about the same. We're pulling out.
They're not going to like that out at the rim colonies.
If they don't like it, they can wait and be burned by the aliens. We can't protect them. You'll report to the 38th sector. You'll have 10 planets on your route to warn and evacuate. Try and stay sober.
Yeah, I'll try.
That's all. Get out of here. And send Kitty back in on your way out.
We cleaned up 3 planets, delivered the dispatches from headquarters, and tried to find out if they had anything worth drinking in the colonies. Usually they didn't. And we were stuck with something at Bossio made out of high-thrust fuel with a little lemon juice and oil of wintergreen for flavoring. We headed out for number 4.
Hey, Dillon.
What?
You want another belt?
No, not now. I gotta feed orbits into this fool computer. Light up. Come on. There she goes.
You know, it's funny.
What?
Life.
You're a 90-proof philosopher, Basio.
Nah. Look, we come down on a planet. Nobody talks to us. We can stand out in the landing field in snow or sand or whatever they got on their miserable planet. Nobody wants us.
Well, look at you. Can you blame them?
No, you don't get it. What are we here for? To save them. To shove a firecracker under their tails and get them out while there's still time. What do they call us? Soldier boy. Drunken bum. Now, what do they do that for?
3 guesses.
Yeah, like on that last one. They almost mobbed us. Every time we walked out in the street, they looked at us as if these uniforms were some kind of an insult.
Well, look up your history, Basio. There's been too much misery tied up with soldier suits of some kind. It's practically a racial memory.
Ah, baloney. They got no call to treat us like we were criminals. They would have shot me down if you hadn't taken off so quick.
Yeah, look, Basio. If somebody comes and tells you got to get off the planet that's been home for 20 years and then wrecks their best restaurant in a brawl, what do you expect? A medal?
I guess you're right. Hey, that was some scrap.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way that stuck-up head waiter called me soldier boy. I'll do it all over again.
I know you would. On the next planet, do your drinking on the ship. It's safer all around.
Oh, they still got no right to be so stuck up. After all, somebody's got to be in the Army.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, that's the last orbit. Pass me the bottle. The 4th planet was Norge 1, a big green world about 20% cooler than Earth temperate. They'd heard about the evacuation, and when we sent the scout down on the landing field, there was a crowd gathered. When I opened the hatch, I could smell a wet, heavy breeze that meant snow. It was below freezing, and Army-issue cold weather gear wasn't worth much. I waited out at the edge of the field for 15 minutes, waiting for somebody to take notice of a ship of the United Earth Defense Command. I just stood there in the cold wind with a pint to keep me warm. Finally, somebody came out to talk to me.
What do you want?
I'm Captain Dillon. I have a message from Fleet Headquarters. You in charge here?
Nobody's in charge here. If you want a spokesman, I guess I'll do. What is it?
Well, I got a dispatch for you from headquarters.
I'll look at it later.
Is it always this cold?
This time of year.
Freeze a brass monkey. Drink?
No, thank you.
Mind if I do?
No, you have to.
I don't suppose you got any decent liquor on this planet.
No, we don't have any.
Yeah, I forgot. All right, let's get going. We haven't got much time. They had a meeting at the main warehouse. Russell read the dispatch and the order for evacuation. It took them a long time to understand. They took it pretty well, but then these were pioneers. Pioneers. Before you settle a planet, you boil it and bake it and purge it of possible diseases. Then you step down gingerly and inflate your plastic houses which harden and then become warm and impregnable. You send your machines out to plant and harvest and set up automatic factories to transmute dirt into coffee, and without having lifted a finger, you brave the wilderness, hewed a home out of living rock, and you're a pioneer. Of course, they were angry, and as usual, they'd take it out on me.
Now, look here, soldier. This is our planet. This is our home. We demand some protection from the fleet. I've been paying taxes for all of you all these years, and it's about time you earned your keep.
Maybe, Mr. Russell, maybe, but there is no fleet. Oh, there are a few hundred half-shot old tubs that were obsolete before you were born, and there are 4 or 5 new jobs for the brass and the government, but that's all the fleet there is. Now, look, it's 10:30 now, and those aliens might be coming in at any time for all we know, so we'd better get going. Lieutenant Basio has gone on to the sister colony at Planet 2 of this system. He'll return to pick me up by nightfall, and I've been instructed to have you gone by then. I wanted to remind them that nobody wanted the Army, that the fleet had grown smaller and smaller, but there wasn't any point to it now. I realized long ago that they were right in a way. I was a big, fat, anachronism, a fossil, a hangover from the Dark Ages. Only unfortunately, we'd run right into a new Dark Ages that came from somewhere out in the stars and picked off colonies and burned them to a cinder. Well, when they finally left the meeting, I went out to check the bomb. The detonator was in the radio shack. It was a long metal bar with a lock on it. I followed the conduit down the wall till it entered the ground. Then I started to chop at the frozen earth to follow the wire.
Captain Dillon.
Yeah?
How many people can your ship take?
Well, she sleeps too, won't take off with more than 10. Why?
We're overloaded. There are 60 of us, and our ship won't take over 40. We came out in groups, so we never thought.
You sure?
She's only a little ship. She's all we could afford.
Well, it looks as if somebody's going to find out firsthand what those aliens look like.
It's not very funny.
All right. Maybe the colony on 2 has room. I'll call Basio and ask.
Aren't there any fleet ships within radio distance?
Look, the fleet is spread out kind of thin nowadays. Yeah.
What's that?
That's your wire from the detonator to the bomb. Somebody dug it up, cut it, and then buried it again and packed it down again real nice. Fool. Who?
Well, one of us, of course. I knew nobody ever liked sitting on a live bomb like this, but I never
You mean one of your people?
Isn't that obvious?
Why?
Well, they probably thought it was too dangerous, like most government rules. Maybe one of the kids.
No. There was a bomb wire cut on Lupus 5 just before the alien attack.
Maybe an animal?
No, no animal did that. Some coincidence, huh? The wire at Lupus 5 was cut just about before an alien attack. Now, this one was cut, too, newly cut. So something knew enough about this camp to know that a bomb was buried here and also to know why it was. Something didn't want the camp destroyed, so it came into the middle, traced the wire, dug it up, and cut it, and then walked right out again.
What'll we do?
Pass out your guns. Try not to scare them. I'll be with you as soon as I've spliced this wire. I spliced the wire and went back into the radio shack and pulled out my pistol. I checked it and primed it and tried to remember the last time I'd fired it. The snow began falling near noon. By 1 o'clock, the visibility was down to 0. I tried to contact Basio to tell him to hurry. He didn't answer. I figured he was probably drunk or sleeping it off. I suppose I should have been out organizing some kind of defense, inspiring everybody with grim, lantern-jawed courage. But as a matter of fact, my jaw is somewhat slack, and I'm not strong on courage. So I took a belt from the bottle and considered things. The tension was beginning to get me. After 20 years of hanging around and playing like the town drunk, a man can't be expected to rush out and plug the breach just like that. You have to work up to these things gradually. I suppose there was something to me originally, but I lost it. I lost it in 20 years of idiotic garrison spit and polish in saloons and the icy looks and choice words that civilians save for peacetime soldiers. I had half the bottle killed when Rosso came back to see me.
Captain, I just can't make any sense of this. Who cut that wire?
Well, as far as I can figure, an alien cut it.
No, there haven't been any aliens or any peculiar animals near this camp. We've got planet-wide radar, and there have been no unidentified ships since the first landing a year ago. One of us must have done it. It's the only possible explanation.
You mean a traitor?
Or a dupe. Maybe the aliens can exert some kind of telepathic control.
I can't see it. If they're able to control one, why not all and save half the bother? Now, look, is there any animal that ever comes near here that's as large as a dog?
Well, there's a vigil. It's like a monkey with 4 legs. We shoot them now and then when they get into the crops. We're going to post sentries. Do you want to place them?
Well, you know this site better than I do. Post them in a ring within calling distance, huh?
Dillon, what are they like, the aliens? Do you know?
No, I don't think anybody does. We don't know what they look like, or what they think like, or where they come from.
Do you think they've landed yet?
Don't know. With this snow coming down, they could be out there in the woods right now, and we'd never know.
Planet Director 7396 recording progress report on attack day. Physical situation excellent. Headquarters bunker 10 feet underground. Electrical heating apparatus running smoothly. View screens operating. Human colonists' activity not according to pattern. 8 humans have taken up watch positions on the perimeter of the colony. Original plan was for attack at night, but presence of Earth vessel dictates change in plans. The humans move quickly. They might be gone by nightfall. It will be necessary to disable their ship, proceeding on this alternate plan.
At noon, Rossel reported that Planet 2 didn't answer his call. Basio might be drunk, but the colony on 2 wouldn't be. If there was no answer, it was because they were dead. The people were quiet and frightened. Some of the women were beginning to cry. They brought me coffee now. It had begun to dawn on the women that they might be leaving without their husbands or sons. They had their ships stripped down and they were loading. The ones that were going stood outside and stripped off their clothes. Cold weather gear of 40 people weighed enough to get a few more on board. In the end, the ship took 46 people. When they were all loaded and they cleared the landing field and the hatches closed. You could hear the generators surge for a lift. But then there was a sharp burning smell and she never got off the ground.
Dylan?
Over here under the tree. What happened?
The lining's burned out. She's being repaired.
How long will it take to fix?
4 or 5 hours.
It'll be dark by then. It seems like they want to wait till the dark.
Probably aren't many of them.
Might mean that, or maybe they see better at night, or maybe they move slow. You got any idea how they got to the ship?
No.
You know, I've been in the Army 20 years. This is the first time I was ever in a fight. I never shot at anybody. I always figured I'd be afraid. Well, there doesn't seem to be any sense in being afraid. There's nothing to do but wait until night comes. I sat there thinking of Basio. He was dead. There wasn't much doubt of that. Probably died dead drunk and not giving a solitary hoot. I stared out into the snow and thought the same thought over and over. Basio is dead. Basio is dead. In all this dog-eared, ape-run universe, he was about the only friend I had, and so naturally he was dead. Dead because he tried to come out here to help these people. People who cursed him and called him a drunk, which he was, and a brawler, which he was when somebody crossed him. But he was the one who came to help. And in short time, I'd be staying behind so that some colonist could jam himself aboard my ship and lift out to safety. And I'd die to save somebody I didn't even know. Somebody who 24 hours before would be ashamed to be found in my company. They come to an army for help too late. An army like me, sodden and not knowing whether they can fight or not.
Dylan.
What?
Over there, at the edge of the woods. Something moving. You can see it through the snow.
Look out. How far do you make it to that tree?
About 50 yards.
50 yards.
There it is, do you see? By the bush.
50 yards, no wind, half charge. I have a feeling I'm forgetting something. Well, here goes.
You got it!
Get down. Maybe more of them. Wait and see.
I saw it clear when it jumped. It was one of those monkeys.
Maybe. We'll see. I waited 10 minutes and then I ran over. Whatever it was gone, almost all of it. My bolt had taken a paw and taken it clean off. I picked it up, but there was no blood. The skin was real and furry, all right, but the bone was steel and the muscles were springs. It wasn't any four-legged monkey. It was a robot.
Planet Director 7396 recording progress report on attack day. Due to component tube failure, small robot unit out of control. Wandered towards settlement. Took calculated risk with poor seeing due to snow that humans would overlook it and still think of it as an animal, even firing with ports open. But a part of the robot is missing and the humans have found it. There will be no chance to disable the smaller ship now. In order to carry out total destruction, the settlement will have to be detonated. The settlement will have to be bombed from previously planted locations. I will have to leave control bunker for a more distant position as soon as protective armor is put on. I will proceed to carry out this plan. I realize this is not the ideal operation. It is more disciplined to capture humans and their equipment undamaged, but total destruction is necessary. For further operations, recommend duplication of essential controls on robots. The procedure of planting them on worlds before colonization by humans in the shape of local animals demands perfect operation when attack day arrives, or the resident director planted at the same time on each world will be unable to carry through attack plans. Now leaving bunker.
That's how they got the ship, all right. Probably slipped a Vigil through the aft port and left it in there to foul the lining. Wonder what else they've got.
Well, probably all kinds of things. Must have been some kind of lizard that went under and cut the wire.
A spicer lizard. They can burrow underground. And we've got a bat that could do aerial reconnaissance for them.
Well, they know everything about you, and we don't know anything about them. They're probably sitting out there right now, swarming behind those trees, waiting for it to get nice and dark. All right, you better get back to the others and tell them I'll stay here.
Why?
Because we only need one. If we could just get one back to a lab, we'd have some clue to what they are. We can't just cut and run. We got to make a stand.
I didn't think the Army made stands. I thought they just pulled out.
Yeah, I suppose so. An army does what it has to, and ours is weak and filled with men like me. But even so, there comes a time when you have to make a stand. I stayed out there in the snow. I wasn't thinking very calmly. It was too cold. But it was probably just as well. I put in about 10 minutes being afraid of whatever it was that was behind those trees. What I needed was luck. Just good, plain old luck. I didn't know where they were or how many there were or what kind, so I needed luck. I started to inch forward in the snow. There was nothing but quiet and the trees. I got past the first trunk. My elbow hit a rock and it hurt. My feet were cold. And then I heard a noise. The thing was moving down the left side of a gorge up ahead. I got up on my knees, I blew on my fingers, and threw the charge level on my pistol over to full. It was a great black lump on a platform. The platform had legs and was plodding up a path that came right past me. It hadn't seen me yet, but it would. There were 5 of those little monkeys skipping on before it, acting as eyes. Then one of them spotted me and started running. My first shot took the monkey in the head, and then I aimed for the lump on the platform. They got one blast off before I hit anything vital. It burned across my shoulder, my shirt charred. Felt as if I'd been hit in the arm with an axe. Nothing else moved. The monkeys were stiff like statues, and the platform was on its side. Through a hole in the black lump, something gray and soft was oozing out. I looked around and saw the robots frozen, and I realized I'd got him. I'd hit the guide, the alien who was directing the robots. I kicked at it with my foot. It was too big and heavy to carry. I'd have to send someone back for it. But I wanted to take something, so I grabbed one of the monkeys by his stiff, jutting arm and began to drag it back to the village. We put the alien in a freeze tank and shipped it back to Earth. They learned a lot in the lab, but out there in the colony, we learned a lot more. We learned that man wasn't born to live out his days at home by the fire. In the wee black corner of space which man had taken for his own, other men were learning. And the snow fell in the planet's world, and when it was spring, where I had fought, men were already leaping back out to the stars.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features The Native Problem by Robert Sheckley, in which a misfit discovers that there is not plenty of room in space for his kind, that in fact there is less room in space for him than anywhere else. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Soldier Boy, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Michael Shera and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Larry Haynes as Dillon, Ralph Bell as Bossio, Alan Hewitt as Russell,
Bob Hastings as the shore patrolman, Wendell Holmes as the colonel, and Kermit Murdoch as the alien. Your narrator was Floyd Mack. This is Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
One of the best, one of the most popular programs on radio. That's You Bet Your Life with Groucho Marx. And here's a reminder. Now Groucho can be heard on Saturdays, and he's on at a time when every member of the family, from Junior to Grandpa, can join in the laughter that goes with each question and answer session. A new day, a new hour, but the very same fun and good times that have made Groucho and You Bet Your Life so popular throughout the years. Have you ever met a hamburger king or an earthworm farmer or a famous beauty contest winner? Well, these are some of those who have appeared as Groucho's guests. Who will be his guests tomorrow? Well, that's a secret, but you can bet your life they'll be full of fun and surprises. Have you ever heard Groucho sing his classic Captain Spaulding or throw a romantic line at a pretty girl? Well, listen in and you'll find out. Hear music in the Morgan manner. Russ Morgan, live, weekday mornings on NBC Bandstand.
Countdown for blastoff. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, The Lungamina by Gordon R. Dixon.
Blame Clay Harbank, if you like, for what happened at Station 563. Or blame Bill Peterborough, the one we called the Kid. I blame no one. I'm a Dorsey man. That means I was brought up on one of those tiny planets a million light years from nowhere. Being a Dorsey man is quite a responsibility. We are a very polite people. We have to be. Because when we get angry, we fight to the death. It all began that evening that Clay Harbank began reminiscing about his home planet, Lungamina. We were sitting around the recreation room of 563. There was a card game going on in one corner.
Lungamina. The very name sounds like music, doesn't it, Mort?
You know me, Clay. I'm a Dorsey man.
I've been in the Dorsey planets. I've seen them all knocking around this universe for 35 years. But when it comes to sheer beauty, Lungamina.
How long since you've been home, Clay?
Home? 20 years, Mort. 20 stinking, miserable years. Well, that'll be over soon.
Another 10 days. You gonna miss old 563?
Miss this godforsaken little asteroid? Not for a minute.
We'll miss your ugly face around here. At least I will.
I'm going to miss your gloomy dorsai puss, too. Mort, why don't you get out of it? You've had more years in space service than any of us. You've probably got enough credits to get out, too.
Me? I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Couldn't you go home?
You should know better than that.
The Denebrian trouble?
The Denebrian trouble?
You could go to Earth.
What for?
Ever been there?
Never once. And I've never wanted to. I've seen too many Earthmen. Like the kid over there.
He's green in service.
He's full of greed and stupid hate like the rest of them. No, that's not for me.
Looks as if the game's breaking up. Here he comes.
Well, if it isn't the big gambler from the windy planet. What's its name?
Lulungomina.
Yeah. How's the piggy bank coming, Dad?
The piggy's a gentleman, kid. He never overeats, so he won't ever get indigestion.
Sour grapes. You see this wad of credits? 500. How long you have to work for 500 credits, Dad? How many trips you have to make around this asteroid? How much closer to fall in your grave you have to come?
You look as if you made a killing.
I always make a killing. I'm a natural-born gambler. And I don't just talk about it like some.
I think I'll go out and take a turn around the station, Mort.
Fine, I'll go with you. It's, stuffy in here.
Don't bother. I'd rather be alone.
Big shot. Knocked around the planets for 35 years. Used to have a reputation as the hottest gambler in the systems. Comes from the most beautiful planet in the universe. Bull.
Why don't you lay off him? Kid, let me give you a piece of sound advice.
Go ahead.
Lay off Clay Harbank. He's been around the systems a lot longer than you have. He may not be any chicken, but he's a tough baby when the situation calls for it.
You trying to scare me, Mort? I thought you Dorsai guys were smarter than that. I'm beginning...
No, look, kid.
No, look. No offense, Morty. I mean, I wasn't trying to insult the Dorsai people or anything. I gotta go do a flight check. I'll see you.
We were in bad shape. The 20 of us at Frontier Station 563 on the very edge of the human area had gone sour. Half the men had applications for transfer in already. But I told the kid about Clay being tough. Well, that was a bluff to keep him off. Nobody knew better than I did that Clay was burned out inside like a used-up rocket. I put on a spacesuit and went out to join him.
Oh, hi, Mort.
Hi.
Beautiful night, huh?
Nice.
Back on Lulungomina, on a night like this, the rakish flowers open up, and you can hear them singing. There are 6 moons, and every one of them is like a yellow lantern. My mom and dad and I used to live on the edge of a lotus pool. Here I go talking about home again.
Figures. A guy who's been saving up for 10 years to get home is bound to start thinking about it when the time comes.
I wish you could come with me, Mort.
Clay, tell me something.
Yes?
Do you ever get the urge to gamble again?
Do I get the urge to gamble? Mort, you ever watch a man who's been on PON for a while? When he's broken the habit, you can't get him near the stuff. He despises it. And yet, the same man is liable to go back on with no provocation. Well, that's the way it is when you've gambled all your life.
I figured.
Maybe that's why I keep talking about home. Every time I hear the kid flipping those cards in the recreation room, I start talking about home. Have you noticed?
I've noticed.
But this time I'm going to make it, Mort. I tried 3 times before. This time I've got the dough, and I know I'm going to make it.
I think you will, Clay.
You know what did it?
No.
Lulungomina. That's what saved me this time. The thought of that beautiful planet.
Well, when you get there, you can send me a photo tape. At the rate we get visitors, it should reach me in 5 or 6 years.
You'll be out by then. You'll be home.
I'll never go home, Clay. Never. Well,
that's Red 4.
Screens must have picked up a ship in the galaxy.
Maybe we'll get a visit.
Keep us from going loco anyway. Coming in?
No, I think I'll stay out a while.
Well, I'm going to check the screen. See you later. Red 4 meant simply that a ship was entering the galaxy. The chances of it touching down on 563 were pretty remote, unless it happened to need a clearance for Earth or Mars. The screen was black by the time I got there, but the kid was filing a report.
Oh, hiya, Mort. Hey, what's a Hixabrod like?
Why?
We're having one for a visitor.
You don't say.
I just came in over the receiver. What'll he be like?
A Hixabrod? Stiff as a poker, proud as Lucifer, honest as sunlight, and tight as a camel on his way through the eye of a needle.
What do they look like?
Oh, they're kind of humanoid, but they have a deadpan face that never changes, like a mask.
Well, they're a little scary, I hear.
Ah, that's the green skin and the scales. Also, they run about 8 feet tall.
Ooh.
I wouldn't tangle with one if I were you. Back on Denebria once, I saw a Hixabrod rip a man to ribbons with its claws.
Why?
The man made the mistake of insulting Hixa. That's one of the twin planets they come from.
Pretty touchy, aren't they?
Not really. They're a very level-headed race. You know the Hixabrod reputation, don't you?
No, you didn't hear much about them on Earth.
Well, they're the first and only mercenary political arbitrators in the known universe. A Hixabrod can be hired, but he's absolutely incapable of being influenced or bribed. He tells the cold truth and nothing but the cold truth. And, brother, when a Hixabrod tells you the truth, it's plenty cold.
It really lets you have it, huh?
They're a small race and very much in demand. If some kind of political dispute comes up from planetary to inter-alien, both sides hire a Hixabrod to represent them. That way they know the other side is being completely honest.
Oh, that's very interesting, you know. Very interesting.
I could tell there was something on the kid's mind, but of course I didn't know what it was. Most of the talk in the recreation room that night centered around the arrival of the Hixabrod. Landing beacons were turned on, and we waited for another radio communication.
Hey, anybody want to sit in on this next hand? Mort?
No, thanks.
Well, I know better than to ask the galaxy's foremost gambler here.
That's right, kid.
Well, maybe when this Hixabrod gets here, we'll be able to work up a decent game. Do Hixabrods gamble?
No, kid, they don't gamble.
That's too bad. Well, we can always sit and listen to you lying about what a beautiful place La Lungamina is.
Kid, you just went too far.
Yeah, you're going to do something about it?
That's right, I'm going to punch your little nose.
Hey, break it up. Break it up. Clay, you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You better get to the infirmary. Have your mouth taken care of. Kid, you get to your quarters.
Since when are you giving orders?
I'm telling you to get to your quarters.
You better do what he says, kid. He's a Dorsai man.
That's all I've been hearing since I got here. What big gamblers come from La Lungamina and how Dorsai men are killers. So far, I've seen nothing, but I heard a lot of talk.
You're gonna get to your quarters? I'll give you 5 seconds to start moving.
You better go ahead, kid.
Okay, Mort. I'm letting you bluff me out of the game this time. Just remember, there's going to be other games. Next time, I won't be bluffed.
He left the recreation room. I felt a slight and not unpleasant shiver run down between my shoulder blades, and my eyes were still hot. I'd almost lost my control that time, and my senses told me I'd better be careful. For the next 3 days, the tension of 563 was almost unbearable. Clay Harbank seemed to age 20 years after the kid knocked him down.
Now hear this, all personnel. Now hear this, all personnel. A ship is approaching for flight check. A ship is approaching for flight check. Report to Central. Report to Central.
Well, this is it, Clay. We're getting the Hixabrod.
Seems almost like home having a Hixabrod with us. They're all over the Tarsian system, you know.
You speak Hixabrod?
You have to on Lulungamina.
Oh, I didn't know that. I picked it up during the 3rd exploration.
Long time ago, huh?
We're not getting younger, Clay.
Yeah, I found that out.
Don't take it so big. He's just a punk kid.
Sure, and I'm just a dumb old man.
Forget it. That's touchdown. You ought to be here in a minute. That does it. He's down.
Look at that ship, huh?
Let's go. You'll need some help with his baggage. The ship was a silvery one-man job, the kind that have taken the Hexabrods all over the universe. The cabin door slid back, and the Hixa stepped out. He was as green and scaly as a lizard, but there was a certain unmistakable dignity in his bearing. Since I spoke the language, I was the first to greet him. Belt the Hutch and Hexabrod. Welcome to this place.
I greet you, Dorsai man.
My name is Mort Bianski.
I am called Dorlassus.
Come. I'll show you to your quarters.
Thank you.
How long will you remain here?
Only for one night. I wish clearance for Mars.
I'm sure it can be handled. This way. I wondered how he knew I was a Dorsai man. And then it seemed obvious. My broken nose, the scars, the lined face. Nobody could mistake a human from the Dorsai planets. Still, it scared me a little. I kept wondering if he had anything to do with interplanetary police. I tried to put it out of my mind. It was no use. Mind if I come in, Clay?
Sit down. Have a smoke.
Thanks.
Where's the Hexabrod?
In his room, getting cleaned up for dinner.
Strange guys, aren't they?
Well, there's something even stranger going on.
What's that?
The kid's in there with him.
With the Hicks?
Mm-hmm.
What do you suppose they're talking about?
I don't know. I wish I did.
Kid's probably trying to get the Hicks into a dice game.
I doubt it.
What's on your mind, Mort?
Clay, you've been around. Are there any Hexabrods in interplanetary police?
A few. Why?
I don't know. I just had a feeling, you know.
You're dreaming up bogeymen.
Maybe.
Besides, you're not in any trouble outside the Dorsai system.
I killed a human, Clay.
Not deliberately?
In a rage.
Happens all the time on Dorsai, doesn't it?
Not to an officer of Intergalactic.
Besides, that was 25 years ago.
There's no statute of limitations in the systems.
Nobody knows but me, right?
You don't have to be clairvoyant to wonder why a man hasn't been back to his home planet for 25 years.
You, think the kid...
I don't know. He's got no love for me.
Still, he doesn't know anything. How would he know this Hexabrod is an agent, if he is?
Couldn't say.
Where are you going?
Nope, I think I'll take a look at that message the kid filed. The one we got when we first picked up the Hexabrod on the screens.
Let me know what you find, if anything.
I walked through the empty corridors to the communication center. I went directly to the files where incoming messages are kept and flicked the tab until I got to Notices of Arrivals. There, 2 days before, was a report of the arrival of Dorlassus. I ran my finger down the statistics until I came to the line that said, Point of Origin of Flight. It read, Tarsian Galaxy. That was where Clay Harbank's Lulongamina was. I read further, where it said Nature of Business. My blood ran cold as I spelled out the words, Criminal...
Come in.
Belt the Hutch and Hexabrod.
I greet you, Dorsai man.
Is there anything you require?
Nothing, thank you.
I came to tell you that we'll have dinner tonight at 800 hours.
The young Earthman has already informed me.
There's a shortage of raw meat here.
I've brought my own food, thank you.
I see you came in from the Tarsian planets.
Yes?
You didn't happen to be in the Dorsai planets before that?
No.
I thought perhaps you might have some news.
I came from intergalactic headquarters.
Yes, I saw your flight check.
Then you know my mission.
Yes.
Good.
How long do I have to pack?
I will be leaving at 700 hours tomorrow morning. Can you be ready by then?
Yes, I guess so.
Good.
I don't suppose there's any point in appealing to you. Hexabrods are supposed to be totally without emotion.
There is no point in appealing.
Funny thing. I've been running away from this moment for 25 years, and now that it's come, I'm glad. We'll be going back to the Dorsais?
Yes, to intergalactic headquarters.
After all these years. Home. I don't suppose a Hicks abroad knows what that feeling is like.
I will expect you at 700 hours. Now, if you don't mind, I wish to prepare my food.
One thing.
Yes?
Did the young Earthman tip you off about me?
No.
Funny. I could have sworn it was him. That was that. When a Hicks abroad tells you no, you can bet your life he isn't lying. I began to wonder how they located me. I began to wonder what he and the kid had talked about. I began to wonder a lot of things.
Well?
He's an agent for Intergalactic.
Well, that doesn't prove he's after you?
He is.
How do you know?
I just talked to him.
Lord in heaven.
It isn't so bad, really. Just think, I'll be going home.
I'm going to kill that kid.
Clay.
I'm going to kill him.
Clay, listen to me. The kid didn't turn me in.
You said...
I said he was talking to the Hicks. I just asked him, and the Hicks told me it wasn't the kid.
They don't lie.
So don't go blowing off.
It's going to be hard. 10 days.
Doesn't have to be 10 days.
What do you mean?
How many credits do you need to buy your way out?
Another 500. Next payday.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
I have over 900 credits. I'll turn them over to you.
Mort.
Listen, I don't need them. You can pay off tomorrow and fly as far as the Tarzan chain with me and the Hicks.
It's a very nice thing, Mort.
Will you do it?
I'll think about it. Let you know after dinner.
I thought of running away, but there was really no place to run once they tracked you down. And the Hicks abroads were utterly relentless once they'd agreed to bring a man in. Since they had no feelings, they made no judgments. They were absolutely certain that a man would get a fair trial. I packed my stuff and went in to dinner. The Hicks abroad was at the head of the table eating his raw chinsu meat.
Pass the gravy, please. Dorlasis.
Yes?
They tell me that the Hicks abroad home planet is a very beautiful place.
It is true.
Well, I'm from Earth myself.
Yes.
I'm curious to know what this beautiful planet of yours looks like.
The kid's pretty talkative tonight. What's cooking?
I don't know, but I don't trust it.
The flora and fauna are maintained in excellent natural balance. No local surplus has exceeded 1% of the normal population for the last 60,000 years. Life on Hixa is predictable. The weather is controlled within the greatest limits of feasibility. The symmetry of the landscape is without parallel in the universe.
Very pretty picture. Very attractive home world. But I regret to inform you, Dorlasis, that I've been given to understand that it pales into insignificance when compared with another beauty spot in our universe.
Your Earth?
I wish I could say yes. No. This place is so wonderful, I doubt if an Earthman like me could get in. In fact, I've never seen it. But I've been hearing about it for some months now. And either it's the most wonderful place in the universe, or the man who's been telling me about it is a rotten liar.
Get your gun, kid. Get your gun.
Why guns?
You call me a liar.
Why use guns when it's possible to prove the thing one way or another with complete certainty? For months now, you've been telling me two things. One, that you used to be a gambler. Two, your precious Lulungamina is the most wonderful place in the universe. The question is either statement true?
They're both true.
You'll back them up?
With my life.
I'm not asking you to back them with your life. Just back them with that nice little hoard you've been accumulating all these years.
Clay, don't.
Well, you said you were a gambler. Bet with me and prove it.
Suppose I do. How do we prove my statement about Lulungomina?
It's easy. We have with us at this table a Hicks abroad. In a conversation with him, I found out that he's just visited every planet in the Tarsian chain. Now, as everyone knows, a Hicks abroad never lies. Do you think you could judge this point, Dorlasis?
The point can be judged.
Well, gambler.
Clay, it's a trick. Don't bet.
How much will you bet, kid?
All I got. The equivalent of 10 years' pay. Well?
You're on.
Dorlasis, okay if I question you?
Proceed.
You've been to the planet in the Tarsian chain, which this man calls his home?
I must ascertain the position of the planet.
The fourth planet.
Ah, yes. The one with 6 moons.
That's it.
I've been there recently. As you well know, since we spoke of it only this afternoon.
We did speak of it, that's true. Now, will you tell me you know the planet?
Yes?
You know its geography.
I do not repeat myself.
Is it a large planet?
No.
Is it a rich planet?
No.
Was there not a rain of radioactive fallout from an explosion of a nearby star only 5 months ago?
There was.
Did it not destroy every piece of vegetation and leave this planet a gutted, smoking ruins, charred and ugly?
It did.
Well, gambler?
You haven't asked him the main question yet, kid.
Would you like to ask him?
All right. Hixabrad, the question to be judged is this. Is Lulongomina the most beautiful and the most wonderful place in the universe?
Yes. It is.
What?
Well, kid?
It's a trick. It's a rotten trick. I don't believe it. The Hicks is...
The eyes of the Hixabrad were narrow and baleful as he pushed back his chair. You could almost feel them burning as he dragged his scaly feet over toward the kid. He stopped about 6 inches from the kid and held both his hands up, palms near the kid's eyes. There was a clicking sound, and we watched 11 sets of gleaming razor-like claws shoot up from the tips of the Hixabrad's fingers. Their points were almost against the kid's eyes.
Look at my hands, Earthman. Are they not clean?
Yes.
Do you doubt that I have told the truth?
No.
Then there is nothing further to discuss. I bow to you, gentlemen. I thank you for your hospitality. You will excuse me.
We stood around and watched that proud, frightening figure drag itself out of the room. The kid was trembling like a leaf as he drew a bank draft for 10 years' pay and handed it to Clay Harbank. The next morning, Clay and I boarded the Hixabrad ship, and 4 days later, we touched down at the outer planet of the Tarsian chain.
Well, this is where I get off, Mort. I don't know what to say, really. I guess you know how I feel.
Think I do, Clay? Let's just say so long.
There will be no need for goodbyes.
What?
Both of you are leaving the ship here.
But I thought
I intend to return to intergalactic headquarters empty-handed.
Empty-handed? But they'll question you. What will you tell them?
The truth, of course.
But
you have told me nothing.
But I assumed...
I am not interested in your assumption. You asked me my mission. I told you it was a criminal investigation. You said you assumed you would go back with me, and I told you when my ship was departing. There is nothing more to be said.
But surely you know...
Mort, don't say anything. The Hixabrad deals only with facts, what is absolutely known. They're the most literal beings in the universe. Let it go at that.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I am grateful for the pleasure of your company.
Five minutes later, Clay Harbank and I shook hands at the exit of the spaceport on Tarsus 10. But before we parted, there was one thing I had to know. Clay, one thing before you go.
Yes?
How did you know the Hixabrad would lie about Lulongamina?
He didn't lie, Mort. A Hixabrad never lies.
But Lulongamina...
Mort, let me tell you something. Lulongamina is a word in use throughout the Tarsian planets. Actually, it's a Hixabrad word. It means home. All I did was ask the Hixabrad if home was beautiful. He simply said yes. And a Hixabrad, as everybody knows, doesn't lie.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the Finn O'Donovan novelette Bad Medicine, the story of a robot therapist that never failed to effect a cure, even if it had to convert itself into a typhoid Mary to do so. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Lulongamina, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Gordon R. Dixon and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Ralph Camargo, Ned Weaver, Jack Grimes, Bob Hastings, and Kermit Murdoch. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
X-1 came to you from our Radio City studios in New York. Next week, listen to Project Mastodon, Clifford Seamock's story on X-1. Follow the news with Chet Huntley tonight on the NBC Radio Network.